I had something I wanted to share with you that I thought was really kind of funny and kind of interesting at the same time. And the reason why I think it's funny is because when you're putting an icon at the top to identify a person, my sister had chosen a unicorn, and I was like, I don't want to be a unicorn, you know. Don't make me a unicorn, pick something else. So then today I was really shocked because this article came up in the IsraelBible.com that said, "Are unicorns kosher?" And then it talks about Exodus 25:5, where it says the items used in the tabernacle of Moses. There were tanned ram skins, dolphin skins, and acacia wood. The Torah gives detailed instructions on how to build the tabernacle, including precise weights and measures, but one element remains a mystery: the skins of the takash used for the outer covering of the tabernacle, and as a slip cover for the holy vessels while they traveled in the desert. There are many opinions concerning the true identity of the takash. The Israel Bible follows the Jewish Publication Society translation, which renders takash as dolphin or sea cow. The only other time that Scripture mentions takash, aside from the context of the tabernacle, is in Ezekiel 16:10, which says, "I clothed you with embroidered garments and gave you sandals of dolphin, takash, leather, to wear, and wound fine linen about your head and dressed you in silks." It is also incongruously the name of a son of Nahor's concubine, Reumah, listed in Genesis 22:24. The reference in Ezekiel to the takash skin being suited for making shoes led some commentaries to suggest that it referred to back leather. This explanation is difficult for others who reason that it would be unsuitable to cover the holy tabernacle in shoe leather. They suggest that there are, in fact, two types of takash, one type used for shoes and the other used for more holy purposes. Another opinion in the Jewish Talmud, Shabbat 28b, discusses the identity of the takash as part of the dialectic concerning whether it is permissible to dwell in a tent made of leather from a non-kosher animal. The Talmud brings the tabernacle made from the non-kosher takash as a possible example of a permitted tent made from forbidden leather. But it is forbidden to bring non-kosher animals or even products from non-kosher animals into the tabernacle. The Talmud thus concludes that the takash skins must have come from a kosher animal and begins to conjecture about the identity of the animal that was the source of the takash leather. One opinion suggests that the leather came from an unidentified yet kosher animal that dwelt in the desert at the time of the Exodus. Another opinion suggests that takash refers to a violet-colored dye used on leather, more specifically goat skin. The discussion continues, suggesting that takash was related to the kerish, a creature most often identified with the giraffe, with a similar description mentioned in the Talmud. It is interesting to note that the giraffe chews its cud and has cloven hooves. Therefore, it is kosher. But since the precise location to slice its throat for slaughtering is unclear, it is not eaten. So if the takash was a giraffe, it would have been made from a technically clean, kosher animal. The Midrash tells us that the takash was a large wild kosher animal that had a single horn, a unicorn. Its skin was made up of 6 colors, and its length was 30 amot, nearly 50 feet. If this unicorn is to be understood in the context of its role in the tabernacle, it can be inferred that unicorns are indeed kosher. The Tabernacle unicorn was so enormous that one hide could be made into a seamless tent curtain 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, which is 45 feet by 6 feet. You know, the Apostle Paul was a tent maker. It makes me wonder if he had access to any kind of skins like that for his tents. In any case, Rashi explains that the mystery exists because God created the Tabernacle animal specifically to be used for the tabernacle. As such, it existed during the construction of the tabernacle only, but afterward it was hidden from the world. So that would mean that he didn't have that knowledge in the New Testament, but we don't really know that. Later commentaries conjectured that the Tabernacle existed and still exists, but it miraculously became kosher for the construction of the tabernacle. Others explained that it was a species that did not normally exist in the desert, but miraculously became available for the construction of the tabernacle. The identity of the Tabernacle remains a mystery, but wouldn't it be neat to sample a unicorn? Here's their picture of the unicorn. Looks a bit like a zebra with a unicorn horn. So then I was kind of happy that my sister made me a unicorn in my little icon on her phone. And I was like, well, if the unicorn's kosher, then I'll take that as the icon for my identity. Anyway, I've never been associated with unicorns before, but I just thought it was kind of funny that this happened. So that was posted January 30th, which is today of 2022, from the IsraelBible.com. And then she sent me this picture of a flying unicorn with a person with their legs sticking straight out, hanging on to the, I guess it's the mane of the horse while they're flying through the air with a happy, joyful expression on her face. So it made me laugh hysterically. And you know, if the unicorn was kosher, then that would mean that its single horn would be acceptable as use for a shofar. So they could have just used the one horn, you know, and when the horn fell off and they grew a new one, they would just turn it into a kosher shofar of the Lord. That's an interesting thought. One of the things I talked about in my book that was really fascinating about the shofar horns, that could be, you know, certain animals but not other animal horns. And they never use a cow horn because of the golden calf incident. But, you know, in the passage where it talked about Tabitha, Dorcas, and that she was healed, the Lord had revealed to me that I wrote in my book is that the word Dorcas actually means gazelle, an animal with large bright eyes, and it's actually a very beautiful animal. A Dorcas gazelle actually exists. So this was the name of a Christian woman in the Bible that was also known as Tabitha, Gazelle. And that animal is used for shofar horns. Strong's Greek number 5000 is Tabitha, Gazelle. Tabitha, also called Dorcas, a Christian woman. Let me just share that story with you from Acts 9, starting in verse 36. Simon Peter raises Dorcas from the dead. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas, and that means gazelle. And there is a Dorcas gazelle that's a gorgeous animal with long, beautiful horns and used for a shofar. This woman was full of good works and alms deeds which she did. And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in an upper chamber. And forasmuch as Lydda was right next to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Then Peter arose and went with them, and when he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber. And all the widows stood by him, weeping, and showing the coats and garments which Dorcas made while she was with them. But Peter put them all forth, and kneeled down and prayed, and turning him to the body, said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes. And when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand and lifted her up. And when he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive. And it was known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. And it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon a tanner. Now you go read in my book the revelations that God gave me about all of this, and you will just be so shocked and stunned. This is one little thing I'm revealing to you on my video because it'll fit in a video. And I want to show you the Dorcas Gazelle that I discovered when I had the Lord revealing things to me. But let me tell you first that the Dorcas Gazelle, also known as the Ariel Gazelle, and Ariel is another name for Jerusalem, is a small common gazelle. Numerous subspecies survive on vegetation in grassland, steppe, wadis, mountain desert, and in semi-desert climates of Africa and Arabia. About 35,000 to 40,000 exist in the wild. And you just got to see this gorgeous animal. Let me show this beautiful animal to you. Just look at this beauty. So Tabitha, or Dorcas, is connected to this. And the fact that the name Ariel Gazelle is a secondary name that pertains to Jerusalem, I just find that just incredible. So these are some things that the Lord revealed to me that I shared in my book. And I know that you would just be so blessed reading more about this. But this was kind of the story about a unicorn and leading to this revelation that I wanted to share. So now you know that the name Dorcas is nothing stupid. It's something incredible. And these Dorcas gazelle horns can be used to make the shofar. And the shofar is God's instrument that he selected. And I just wanted to show you, it's showing the Dorcas gazelle being in Israel as well as northern Africa. So obviously Tabitha, or Dorcas, had a very significant special name that God sent Simon Peter, his disciple, to heal her from death to life. And I find that very fascinating that she's connected to this animal that's considered to have the horn that you can use for a shofar. Now they use other animals. Most of the shofars are, these other types of animals. A lot of the shofars are ram's horns, but they don't have to be. The Dorcas gazelle, or the Ariel gazelle, is one of the smaller gazelles found in Africa and Arabia. The gazelles may be mistaken for deer, but they belong to the family of sheep and goats, although similar looking. In symbolism, the gazelle stands for agility, alertness, and consciousness. These gazelles also represent grace under pressure. These gazelles belong to the genus Gazella. The genus Gazella currently has 10 species under it and 4 extinct species. The red gazelle, interesting, the Queen of Sheba's gazelle, the Arabian gazelle, and the Saudi gazelle are extinct species. The woman in the miracle where Simon Peter raised Dorcas to life is a very special story, and it's a lot deeper than we knew. So if you type in what kind of animal horn could be used for a shofar, the answer is a ram's, antelope's, gazelle's, goats, or Rocky Mountain goat's horn can be used to make the shofar. These horns are made out of cartilage that can be removed rather than solid bone. Shofar is a Hebrew word that means empty. The animal's horns listed above can be used as a shofar because they have split hooves and chew their cud. So it's a kosher animal, and it's really something very special in that miracle. So the horns have to be kosher to be considered valid. And when we go out and blow the shofar, God hears from heaven the sound. And that's why Pastor Mark Biltz for numerous years has, on the Feast of Trumpets, or Rosh Hashanah, had the wave across the world where everyone blows their shofar at the same time. So my mom and I always used to pay attention to that when it would come, and sign up to blow the shofar that she gave me as a gift numerous years ago. It's very interesting that the Dorcas Gazelle is related to the sheep and the goat, as opposed to a deer who has a different type of horn. Anyway, I don't know what led me to telling you that part of my story out of my book, but it's an original story. I just couldn't believe what God was showing me about that miracle with Simon Peter and Dorcas or Tabitha, because it's completely amazing. And there's a lot more to the story, and you can read more about it. And my book is available at olivepresspublisher.com. Just wanted to share that because there really are some very thrilling, exciting details you're going to want to read. And it was a kosher animal that chewed its cud and had cloven hooves. Then obviously if it showed up again, it could be used for the blowing of the shofar. I hope that you found this kind of like a thrilling story. God shared a lot of beautiful things with me like that, and put it in my heart, and had me write it and compile it all in a book so that I wouldn't forget any of the details that he was showing me. So that's why I wrote a book. I didn't write it to be an author. I didn't write it to be famous or to sell a billion books, but I was excited at the content. And when I finished, of course, I wanted to share it with the world. And the only place I can market my book is right here on this channel, which is why I created it in the first place. So I'm just letting you know that this is some part of the exciting story, and I hope you appreciated hearing about the unicorn and the Dorcas Gazelle and Tabitha, or Dorcas, that was healed by the disciple Simon Peter. So I hope you see this incredible miracle of Simon Peter and the resurrection of the dead with that connection to the shofar blast. Kind of reminds me of the Lord descending from heaven with a shout, with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words and with this living testimony that I just shared with you. If this blessed you, please just pray to God that this testimony keeps going and this work continues, because God has spoken to me these things and they are incredible. Until later, thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your provision, and God bless you. Good night.